I am Cherilyn Parsons, and I am a writer. I also am the founder and director of a big literary festival in Berkeley, where I live right now. And I'm originally from Los Angeles, West San Fernando Valley, so I'm afraid that way back when I was a Valley girl, and I have come very far. I always had this sort of spiritual sense of like, what's real? What is this thing called reality? I ended up leading my family into evangelical Christianity because it was the only thing really available in the West Valley at the time. And at least it sort of, I won't even say addressed, it asked some of the questions that I was wondering about, and it gave very rigid answers, but it was something. Bizarrely, along with the evangelical Christianity, I was in TV commercials and movies and such. Starting when I was 11, my first commercial was for Barbie, Free Moving Barbie, which is hilarious. It was like a little thing sticking out of her back, and you moved her around, and that was, quote, freedom. You know, I remember just this one commercial. It was for cereal, okay, like Golden Graham cereal, and ultimately I got this commercial, right? But I remember going into the audition room, and first you're in the outside, like, waiting room with all these other girls, these little specimens of, perfect American girlhood, right? And I'm sure I look like that too, but you're human, right? You don't feel like you look like anything special. And my mother had dressed me in like the appropriate clothes according to what the agent told me I'm supposed to wear, when I'm supposed to be. And so, you're sitting out there with these other girls studying the storyboard and looking at the script, and I'm a terrible memorizer, always have been, so that was stressful. And then, they call a few girls, and then they call my name, and, my mom pats my cheeks and little lip gloss and big eyes, that was the thing. And so, my heart is like leaping, right? And the adrenaline rushes, and I go in, and there's, the casting director and the director and the clients, who were almost all male. You're holding the product, of course, facing out, and, and then you're like, okay, take a big bite. So you take a bite of like emptiness, right? You're holding it up, you're taking a bite and smiling and swallowing and, and hoping and yearning that you are, wanted, that they choose you. And then you're supposed to do it another way, right? Like, okay, now with more conviction. And you say, the line was, in this case, it's a golden day. So I'm like, it's a golden day with conviction. And then it's like, okay, happiness, it's a golden day. Big smile, and, whatever, a few different renditions of it. And, meanwhile, they're raking you over with their eyes. And so you stand there, and all the time I'm scanning that crowd, the clients, the director. Who do they want me to be? Who am I? Who am I supposed to be? How will I be loved? How will I be rewarded? The money basically went into the family coffers. There weren't separate accounts at the time. There wasn't the law to segregate a child's income. So I was seen as a product, as women are in this culture. I think human beings are in this culture, which is the sort of capitalistic objectification system, which is male-driven, right? Patriarchal, whether it's practiced by a man or a woman. And so feminism, I think, helped me see that when I was, 25 or something. I left LA to spend a summer in New York, and I was just reading widely. And I remember coming across the incredible Audre Lorde, right? And I was just so naive. And my family, my grandfather was like, a racist, and, strongly so. And so for me to come across this sort of Black lesbian feminist was just revolutionary and wonderful. When she talked about the erotic as the, the feeling within us, the feelingness, it just opened me up. I'm like, oh wow, yes, I have a feelingness in me, and that is my power. To live from the inside out is something that's like a life goal, and I came from the opposite. And I ended up being interested in Tibetan Buddhism because it's wild. I call it like Baroque Buddhism on psychedelics. I mean, if you look at the art, it's just teeming with deities and color and wildness, and emotions likewise are encouraged. They're like strong. That's your energy. I would say that I am a ecstatic agnostic Buddhist, but that could go in any order. A Buddhist agnostic ecstatic, or or agnostic could go last. It doesn't matter. But that's like how I understand it. And I've sort of grown up as a writer through this. And, yes, on a sentence level, right, I could write well, but a novel is so much about what you're telling and the voice. And to arrive at that has taken me a long time. So this particular book is about women. It's about mothers and daughters, and about generational trauma, passed from one to the next. And can we interrupt that? It's also about violence and nonviolence, how we are with each other and how we are in the world.
Could you call yourself an ecstatic, agnostic feminist as well?
Yeah. I'll add that to the whole thing. So, ecstatic, agnostic Buddhist feminist, right? Or feminist, ecstatic, agnostic Buddhist, whatever. So, yeah, that fits.